Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you are new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, click on the bell icon so you can get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate in on the discussion, you can join me on YouTube most weekdays where I go live around 4 to 4:15 Central Time. If you're not able to participate on the discussion, you'd still like to reach out to me, another great place to do that is a Discord channel that I created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Also, down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. A lot of times people ask me what food I've been eating to lose weight, and that Pinterest board is a great place to get some ideas of the meals and recipes that we have been eating. Today is day 775 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 235 pounds, right? That's crazy. I have about 10 and a half months left to go on my challenge. I'm very excited about reaching my goal and achieving that healthy weight and then living that weight the rest of my life, or being a healthy weight the rest of my life. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you are struggling with your diet, what's causing, what are some things you're struggling with? If you're succeeding with your diet, what are you doing to succeed? Share it with the rest of us. And at the end of the day, I feel like one of the most important aspects about any diet is what are some of the things you are going to do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative. Let's go ahead and switch over to the main here. A bunch of people checking in. Cindy, Tennis and Yoga Girl, Pretty Girl's Mom, Carrie, Rick, and let's see, everybody. Hello. Ann here says, hello, everyone. Things are really getting exciting around here as we all watch Jonathan morph into a super healthy version of himself. Yes, I have been getting into a much healthier version of myself, which is amazing and it's awesome. Ann says, you can't wait to see me and Carrie on the Today Show. Oh, yeah, that would be amazing. No, we're not going on the Today Show, though. Who would be better to be on the Today Show? I don't know. I don't know if the world's ready for my message, right? To eat plant-based. I think there's such a aversion to trying this way of eating. It'd be great to get people on board. But, anybody who wants to talk, if they invite me on their show, I'll definitely go and start pushing this diet there. But let me figure out where I put my phone. I don't know where I put my phone. I don't have it around me. Well, maybe I'll just be talking about food instead of showing you some photos. Let's see. Yeah, I must have left it in my coat pocket. So food since yesterday was pretty standard for us. We had our mega veggie chili for dinner last night. It was really good. Just a mix of lots of great vegetables, corn, and there's I don't know, zucchini in there, onion. There's all kinds of stuff in the mega veggie chili. So definitely a great meal for dinner last night. I had a couple servings of it. And then this morning for breakfast, we had our standard oatmeal. And then for lunch today, I had our standard lunch, potatoes and broccoli. Harry, I would have been fine with just potatoes today, and I was eating mostly potatoes, but Carrie had cooked a steamer bag of broccoli, and there was like half a bag of broccoli, and she gave me a hard time about not eating it. So I just threw it in with the potatoes and ate it anyways. But I was okay with just eating potatoes today, but I did have potatoes and broccoli for lunch. Sorry, I don't have the photos of the food, but really it's a pretty boring day of food for us, I suppose, or it's a regular day of food, which at this point seems a lot more boring to me. Uh, in there's nothing new, I guess, is what I'm saying. I'm not bored of the food. I enjoy the food. I really find that uh I don't know what it is about this diet that I just don't get sick of. Like in previous diets, I would get sick of foods after I had been eating them for so long. And I think one of the things that does help is that we do have a variation of foods or different foods for dinner. And just in my mind right now, I'm just thinking about how the potatoes that we had today were, the same Yukon Gold potatoes that we always have, but they cooked different. Or like when I went to mash them up, they didn't mash the same. And it just is something that I didn't think about before eating this way. And I don't know how much, there is to it. But when I notice it a lot with oranges, that I can buy a bag of oranges and have them taste amazing, and or have some of the oranges in the bag taste amazing, but other oranges not taste as good. And it's just wild to me that there's such a variation in texture and flavor of the same food from the same place. And we kind of think of potatoes being boring and the same, but realistically, or in reality, each potato is got its own flavor profile to it based on where it was grown, how it was grown, and things like that. So and so maybe that helps with the there's a variety in the food just in itself, I guess. Whereas in the past, when I was eating these low calorie diets that I would get bored of, I was eating highly processed foods that one bag of chips doesn't taste different than the next bag of chips because of all the processing they do to the actual potato itself. That's not where you're getting the flavor. You're getting the flavor from the oil that they use to cook it, or the seasoning that they put on top of it. Let's see here. Barb says that she's making her own version of Mega Veggie Chili as she watches us now. Thanks for the idea. It is terrific. Yes, I really like the Mega Veggie Chili. And I love how you said there that you're making your own version of Mega Veggie Chili. That is one of the important things that people have to understand on any diet, really. But with this type of diet is, don't get stuck on a specific recipe. Like it has to be done exactly how that person made the recipe, or else it's not going to be right. These people that are designing these recipes are designing them for their own personal flavor preferences, or they're designing them to appeal to a mass of people. And so there may be something like jalapeno that you don't like to have in your recipe. And so you would exclude it. Or maybe you love jalapeno and you double the amount that's in the recipe, but make it to your flavor profile and what is going to be something that you are going to eat. You don't want to make food that you are struggling to eat. And that is never been a problem for me on this diet, at least, is that I'm not choking down food that I don't want to eat, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm always satisfied with the food I have, and I always enjoy it. Cindy here says that she's currently reading Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Diet. And he says, when we lose weight, our appetite increases. Have you found this to be true for yourself? I read the book. I'm not exactly sure what the reference is to that in the book. I could see it being somewhat true, or being true. If it's in Dr. Greger's book, I imagine there's some scientific basis for him to put it in that book, because that's his whole thing, is to put it to the test. What I would be curious to know is that the statement, when you lose weight, your appetite increases. I'd be interested to know what those people were doing to lose weight. And I've correlated eating to sleep a few times, but if you are in a position where you are chronically undersleeping, that every day you're getting an hour less sleep than you're supposed to be getting, that over time your body is going to push you or get you to a point where you just crash and you have to sleep. Well, a lot of times when people go to lose weight, they put themselves at this volume and calorie deficit in order to lose weight. And over time, that deficit starts to build and it becomes tougher to combat. With this way of eating, if my appetite increased, I don't know, like over the past month here, I've lost another 10 pounds or so, so I'm losing weight. My appetite is still just as much as it was before. I've always had a never ending appetite. But I change the food that I feed that appetite, or I don't eat high calorie dense foods. So then I don't feel bad if my appetite is increased. So, but I do believe that in the past, when I lost weight and I was doing real big calorie restrictive diets, I was always hungry. My appetite was never satisfied. And eventually, once I quit taking the appetite suppressants, it was impossible to maintain. So, I would say that maybe as I lose weight, I start to think or start to crave higher calorie dense foods. But again, I don't know that's appetite increasing is kind of vague too, because is it the amount of food they want to eat increases, or is it the calorie density of the food that they want to eat increases? Because with me losing weight, that means that I'm in some form of calorie deficit. So my body craves like the cashews or the plant or the nut butters, those types of things. And I don't know that anybody ever is able to not have cravings for some food. Even if you are 100% healthy and everything that you eat is healthy, you're going to crave to eat healthy foods. And your body, or our mind, I believe, is when we crave a specific food. And I hear people talk a lot of times about, oh, I kept thinking about having fish. I kept thinking about having this. I kept thinking about having whatever this processed food is. And what I think that is that your mind is trying to get you to eat the highest dopamine producing food that it thinks it will convince you to eat. And that's why I think people give in to that craving, because their mind knows that if I suggest to this person to go eat at Long John Silver's, they're never going to say yes, because that's not where their mind is. Or that's not where their diet is. That's not what but if I try to convince this person to eat fish, or a fried fish or a pan fried fish, or something that is seen to be slightly healthier than an alternative of the same food, then you start having a harder time talking yourself out of the abstinence of that food over time. And Cindy here is saying that she believes the increase in appetite is the body's mechanism to prevent starvation, and it related to the amount of food, not so much the calorie density of the food. And I guess What I have noticed maybe the past few nights is that I have been eating much larger portions of dinner. I have kind of attributed that to me not snacking after dinner. So my body's kind of like, well, let's get as much food in as we can while he's allowing us to eat. Um, but I keep losing weight. Um, so yeah, I definitely would understand how over time, if you're in a calorie deficit, your body's trying to fight that. Um, and so many studies that we see, they're not studying people that are eating whole food plant-based diets, and especially not studying people who are eating whole food plant-based salt, oil, sugar-free diets. There's lots about this way of eating that I think that you're gonna see different, like if you get your blood work done and there's normal ranges that you're supposed to be in. Um, those normal ranges that they determined that people are supposed to be in, um, was not a population of people that were eating the same diet that I choose to eat with the no salt, oil, sugar. So I don't know that the normal ranges for somebody who eats this diet and their blood work would necessarily be the same as somebody who eats the old diet like I used to eat. But anyways, I don't know. I'm just kind of getting into the rambling with it. But Carrie says, you're a rumor we're going to be on the Today Show. No. I kind of got off track here. I don't even know if I was on a track to begin with, but the last day's been really good. I've been busy. The thing I was going to talk about in the title of the stream here is finding the right path. And this is an analogy I've brought up in the past, but I thought I'd talk about it a little bit more again today. When our kids were younger or before all of them were born, I used to go out and four-wheel quite a bit. I was very active with the groups in my area that did four-wheeling. I traveled kind of all over the country to go four-wheeling. I went down to West Virginia to ride in the mountains. I went down to Oklahoma to ride in the sand dunes down in Oklahoma. I went out to Utah to ride out there as well, and been all over the place riding four-wheelers. And one of the things while four-wheeling is that it's a dangerous activity to do, and you can put yourself in a bad spot. And I think that this analogy kind of works for just hiking in general or taking any paths. But one of the things that would happen when four-wheeling is you would come up to a spot and there would be a fork in the road, or you'd come up to a hill that you had to climb up or ride your four-wheeler up, and there would be multiple paths that you could choose to take and to get where you wanted to go or to continue down the road. And one of the things I used to do a lot was look at those different paths, and I would look for the path that seemed to be the most used or most worn path. Because in my mind, if that path is the most used and worn, that means that people have been the most successful using that path to go beyond or go where they want to go. And many times that path would work out. I'd go up and I'd keep going, and I would just kind of continue to follow the most worn path or the easiest looking, safest looking path that was in front of me. But every now and then, you would run into a situation where you would see a fork in the road and you'd go down the well-worn path. And as you got down the path, you realize that it dead ends or it doesn't go as far as you wanted it to go. And so you have to turn around and come back and go down that same path to get to where the fork in the road is again. And then you have to choose a different path that might not look as worn. And the reason why the one path was so worn is because everybody was going down it and then having to come back. And I feel like there's so much that happening with diets and the diet culture in our society, that there's these people that are pushing these diets that have this real easy looking path when you start, but then you get 6 months down that path and it dead ends. And you either have to get a machete out and start clearing your own path, or you go back to the beginning. And so much of us are unwilling to do that extra effort, and we just go back to the beginning. And I feel like I did that for the past 20 years of my life. I looked at what the path everybody else was taking, the path that seemed the easiest, and I kept going down that path only to find that it was continually blocked and I was unable to get to where I wanted to go. And the thing about with four-wheeling is that when I would go four-wheeling and I would have the option to do the safer looking path or the less ridden path or the more dangerous looking path, is that when I took the more dangerous looking path, it generally was more rewarding at the end. Like, it wasn't something where I looked at it and I go, I want the easiest thing the whole time. I went from the beginning, it was like, I'm willing to do the extra work I have to do if it's going to get me the results that I want to see. And that's what I believe this whole food plant-based diet is. This is the path that people have been unwilling to go down. And the people that are willing to go down it and have seen the other side of it and have reached their goals, they're not being heard. Nobody's listening to them. They just keep going back to that well-beaten path that doesn't get them where they want to go. It doesn't go to the other side of the park. It doesn't go to the overlook that they're trying to get to. And that's why with this diet, for me, when I started out, I was like, I'm going to figure out what I want to do. And no matter what, if that path is blocked at the end, I'm going to get the machete out and I'm going to start clearing my own path as I keep going. And if I would have chosen so many other diets, I think about all the other diets out there, all the other programs that I could have picked. And I realize now that I would have had to have turned back on so many of those paths. And with this path, with this diet, I go down and there might be a bump in the road, but it's not like a big tree across the path keeping me from continuing to go. And I guess what I just want to say is it's not always the easiest path that's going to get you to the results you want. And many times the easiest path is not going to get you the results you want. It may get you immediate results. It may make you happy. I got to the top of the hill, but I didn't get, that just put me at the base of the next hill with no way to get up it. This diet takes me to the top of that hill, and then there's still a path to get up the next hill, the next hill, the next hill. And when you're eating low volume diets, you run out of gas. You get down and you just can't keep going. You don't have the motivation to keep pushing if you're constantly struggling with starvation and hunger the whole time. And so I don't know if that analogy plays out exactly how it does in my head, but like I said, the same thing could be, for hiking. You come to a hiking path and you think that, well, that looks like the most worn path, and maybe it is, but maybe it misses some great parts about it. Maybe it's skipping all of the great, like a lot of these diets that I did in the past, they skip a huge part, and that is the maintenance. That is the after I'm off my diet, what am I going to do? And this diet's not that. I'm on my diet. The diet I'm on now is my weight loss diet. The diet I'm on now is my maintenance diet. There's not going to be a shift. It's not like, oh, once I hit 219.8 pounds, let's bring all the old shit back. It's not how this is going to work for me. This is something that I have spent the last 2 years trying to figure out how the 220-pound version of myself has to eat to be 220 pounds. And I'm continuing to eat like that version of me has to eat. And maybe I'm eating like the 250-pound version of myself right now. But when I get to 250 pounds and I get stuck, then I'll make the adjustments to get to the 220-pound version of myself. Just like when I started this, I was eating very high calorie dense foods and I could get away with it because I was a 420-pound person eating the diet of a 310-pound person. The 310-pound version of myself needed to eat. And so, and Sarasota, Florida here says that you got to stay to the finish. Yes. And that was the 3-year challenge. That was, I'm going to do this. If it doesn't, if the first diet doesn't pan out, I'll go to the second diet. If the second diet doesn't pan out, I'll go to the third diet. And in in my head, I'm thinking about it, and I think that the logical end to my whole challenge would have been to get to this diet eventually, because I already would have failed the keto diet. I already would have failed the paleo after that. I already would have failed the next diet after that. And I would have kept making the changes until I found this diet, because this is the diet that is going to get me to my goal. There's no doubt in my mind that this was the diet I needed to be doing from the beginning. This is the diet I should have been eating from the time I was 18 or 20 years old. And I just took too long to, I didn't stay motivated to keep trying. I would go down that path and I would take it as long as it was easy. And then as soon as it got tough, I would just go back to the beginning. And, maybe that's it too. Maybe it's not even that the path is blocked off. Maybe it just looks like it's going to be too tough and it looks more dangerous, than the original path that I could have gone with the plant-based. But anyways, and Cindy here says, I agree with you. Sustainability is important. That's 100%. That's the 3-year challenge was this sustainability. I know I can lose weight, and I can lose weight faster than I'm losing weight right now. And I've done it in the past. I've lost weight, and I've lost it maybe not faster than I did when I did my water fast here, but faster than I did over the second year. I could have lost so much more weight the second year had I done different things. But my goal was sustainability. My goal was not to be sitting here, driving myself crazy by under eating and just constantly craving junk foods. So yes, sustainability is it, and those easy diets, they start off easy, but they're not sustainable. It's at a certain point, and maybe that's too, like if you got this big mountain that you got to go up, at a certain point, you're going to have to change the angle that you're willing to go, the steepness you're willing to go. If you're only willing to go this steep, you may never reach the top of the mountain. And when you eat those diets that are easy at first, and then they get really tough, it gets real steep. This diet, instead of being there, it's got a steepness from the beginning, I guess, because it's so different from what we have been programmed that a healthy diet is. So anyways, that was a bit of a ramble here about taking the path less traveled. Don't always follow the path that everybody else is taking, because as you go down that path, you'll start seeing everybody coming back the other direction. And that doesn't get you anywhere. Just get you back to where you started. And I did that so many times. I spent so much time losing weight and then gaining it back. I'm so happy that I've been able to lose weight. I've been able to maintain my weight loss, and I don't have any fear of that changing anytime soon. So But with that, I am going to get out of here for today. I appreciate everybody that's been following along and everybody on the live stream here. I appreciate all your comments and your support. It really means a lot to me. Carrie here says that she's so grateful that we took the plunge and we tried this. As extreme as it seemed at the beginning, she cannot imagine eating any other way. Yes, you know, and that's maybe something too, is that when you go up that steep hill, you're scared the first time, but then when you go up and you see that again, or you see that issue again, you're so much more confident the next time you come up against it. So all kinds of analogies today. So anyways, I appreciate all you guys so much. Thank you. If you have not subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. If you've not clicked on the bell icon to get alerted when I go live or post new videos, click on that bell icon. If you've not commented down below and hit the thumbs up, do that as well. I appreciate it so much. And if you have not started your diet yet, get started today. Stop saying you're going to wait till the next year. Stop saying till after the holidays. What are you going to do next year when the holidays roll around? Are you going to take a hiatus from your diet? Well, if you're succeeding, you're not going to want to do it. If you're on a diet that's sustainable, a year from now, you're not going to be looking for an excuse to get off your diet. And so there's nothing coming up that's more important than you. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health. And just imagine the difference that 15 days could make. That would put you at such a healthier spot than you were at, you know. And I look back at this challenge, and if I would have waited 15 days, if I would have waited 30 days, maybe that's all I would have had to have waited for me to have my first heart attack, for me to have my first issue with my obesity. And I'm so happy I started when I did. I don't regret it any second. The only thing I regret is not starting sooner. So get started right now, guys. I will talk to you tomorrow.